So I just made this video about this PlayStation fan that kept, in a sense, talking about some random stuff and distracting as to the conversation with Game Pass. And he said, that VG got exposed on Puerto Rock's podcast. Now, that podcast was recorded about a month ago from today, maybe a few months. But since then, a lot has changed. You know that, right? You know a lot has changed, right? So when he said that, I said, let me go ahead and have him clip whatever he said I got exposed by on that podcast. And so I went to the video and I copied the link and I said, hey, man, clip where you say I misinformed people or I got exposed. I'd be happy to see it. But then I dived into the comment section of this video and boy, I'm getting dragged. I'm even getting dragged by a Nigerian. Oh my gosh, bros. You carry me enta here, so. And he said, VG grew up in Nigeria like me. I recognize his voice immediately. And he said, when you start a conversation with the goal of winning, rather than learning, you won't ever concede. Closed mindset, but with sweet tongue. I said, what did I say? What did I do? And I'm going, and M, the Cameroonian, my African neighbor, said we saw a kid taken to class, but in spite of his best efforts, Professor P. Rock still taught him lessons. May the kid now go home and do his school-assigned coursework. M, I avoided making the videos of you crashing out about PlayStation having abandoned this so-called exclusivity that you all claimed. And my own African neighbor brother is trying to drag me? And some of you, your comments, and okay, I'm gonna go back to my let me just go back home for a little bit. Let me stick out here about the continent. He says all his references at the start during the intro was all about his early life in Nigeria, and his story is familiar to mine, and I had a PC. So Herod, Hero Down Under, you said an internal source is always more reliable and factual than any external analyst, and this is true for all industries. And what he was saying was this article here. No, sorry, this post from LinkedIn that Mark Skwarski has removed, where he says that he built a team to launch new features into Xbox Game Pass and execute marketing campaigns that increase subscribers from 5 million to 25 million and increase revenue by $2 billion over 4 years. There's also something that he says where he made some changes that made Game Pass available. Over here, manage a team led by Xbox Global Marketing to drive Game Pass growth to over 25 million subscribers across console, PC, and cloud-enabled devices. And then there was a PC Game Pass number that was actually cited that shocked me. And so the idea was that this article that was written on Twisted Voxel basically meant that there were more Xbox Game Pass users on PC than were on PlayStation. However, the one mistake I made in that particular podcast was just not reading, like I usually do, a paragraph a little bit under. Oh boy. I wanted to let this sleeping dog lie, but Maxwell, you done brought up a whole different thing. And now this is the time I think to pop off, because before Helldivers showed up on Xbox, you all were very loud. Instead of y'all to just stay quiet and let this whole thing, you will not. You are very tempted to continue to goad. And then I see my Nigerian and Cameroonian brethren trying to disparage me in the comment section of the Puerto Rock appearance. And we Africans can, especially us West Africans, can be sentimental. So I decided I'm going to clear my name. I don't even need to. That particular article that Puerto Rock put on his podcast here, right here, ladies and gentlemen, where they were making this claim, I put up a data set to that effect showing that it is highly improbable, not impossible, that this will be the case, as they show you that there were 21.1 million Game Pass users in 2022 when Cade was publishing the data for approving Activision Blizzard King. Let me go ahead and walk you guys through what these guys were claiming. based on this Twisted Voxel article that only Muhammad Ali Bari in April 4th of 2023 has written. No one else has written to this effect to correlate this particular data set. Pay attention to that. Not a single other journalist out there that I've seen. I've looked around, and even the LinkedIn profile, Mark Swarsky has actually tweaked it to not show anything that alludes to PC. So where did we get the 21 million for? Because in the comment section, Hero Down Under, everybody else was telling me that I brought outdated data to the conversation. In fact, Hero Down Under, you said I did not prepare for my exam. That is very un-Nigerian. So now you went personal. And I'm like, no. You said he kept going back to 2021 data when 2024 data shows a different landscape. Twisted Voxel's article is citing from 2022 when this Mark Swarsky posted his LinkedIn profile and made the illusion. So y'all were trying to basically tell me that somewhere, somehow, from 2021 to 2022, Game Pass had bled that many subscribers to PC, because even if there were 15 million, there would be 5 million left on Game Pass console. You have no proof to that claim. You have no way of even knowing that. The data is so obscure that I go back to this particular comment section and I'm saying to myself, according to this guy, he kept going back to 2021. He says, who prepares for an exam with outdated information? So weak, very un-Nigerian, very not one of us. How dare you? You have to understand that I'm an educator. How dare you say something like that? That's multiple layers of insulting. So if one of my students happens to watch or see this comment, I want to ensure that on record there's a video calling out this nonsense. Oh my gosh. He said, I used to follow this guy during the Division video days. I was happy to find another Nigerian game, but when he kept trying to speak about console gamers as suckers and inferior, that was the line. I blocked off his content. When did I ever say that that console gamers were suckers and inferior? I played Gotham Knights on 30 FPS, and I made my concerns known that they've basically played us by selling us consoles that could not keep up with the gaming advancement in the day. I own both consoles. Why would I ever say that? This is what's called bad mouth. In Nigeria, they call this bad mouth when person they talk about you in a way and disparaging and mischaracterizing what you said. That's what we call it. It's bad mouth, but we say it with our accent as in Nigerian pidgin. So I'm thinking to myself, what in the world is going on here? Pudurock, you can't back this data claim. You can't back this data set. This was 2022. And then I read the bottom and this guy writes, unfortunately, it's tough to say for sure whether there are more subscribers on PC than on Xbox consoles without knowing the total player count, as we knowing the Windows player count of over 15 million users is not enough to make this assessment. You don't even know that. You literally don't even know that, because the guy said partner with creative directors at Bethesda and Xbox to pilot new growth ideas, making it easier for over 15 million PC players to enjoy Xbox Game Pass. There are people that have multiple Game Pass subscriptions. There are people that subscribe and drop in and drop out. There are people that have $1 price point. There are people who get the $10 whatever. Probably 15 million over the course of Game Pass, because if these 15 million people were on Game Pass by 2022, it would mean that the data that Cade put out when they were trying to approve the deal, let's go ahead and compare that. In 1 year, excuse me, hold on. Let me get me a notepad to write on. Goodness gracious. Pudurock, where'd you get these African brethren of mine from? Huh? Where did you find them from? Because they are over here. I need to get an app that I can draw on. Give me a second. So walk through me with this. This guy is saying in 2021, he made Game Pass available for 15 million PC players to enjoy. Okay. He never said that there were 15 million Game Pass subscribers. In fact, he said that they grew. Look at another contradiction. Let me go ahead and let's just see how easy this is. He was able to basically do things that grew Game Pass from 5 million to 25 million. Huh? Look at that. 5 million to 25 million. So how did 15 million PC users appear from when Cade reported in Brazil? Let me go ahead and let me get so Cade in Brazil, 21 million. And that was basically console players. Derek Strickland basically highlights it, that particular data set was only, and what Kate put out was only for Game Pass console users. $2.9 billion revenue. When you assess it, it put it at about 21 million Game Pass subscribers or so. August 21 and 2022, Game Pass went from 15 million to 18 million subscribers, so we can pinpoint the $2.9 billion range generated from 15 to 18 million subscribers across both PC and consoles. What? Then you throw in the 11 million or so estimated from Core converting to Game Pass. From Xbox Live converting to Game Pass Core. How does that make any sense? If this revenue figure is just for consoles and does not include PC Game Pass earnings, which was this, how would that make any sense that somewhere, somehow in 1 year, majority of those gamers of the $2.9 billion or so have a 15 million console-based user, a 15 million subscriber user count from PC? It doesn't make any sense. Like you can't add the numbers. And so I go back to the comment section. And I'm in this particular piece of my own journey thinking interesting stuff. Because a lot of folk were you guys were making noise. You were all making so much noise. This person said, if you think, what did he say? This person said something very interesting. Oh, where was that comment? There it is. This guy is delusional if he doesn't think anyone is going to leave Xbox after the BS they pulled this gen, which was making their games multi-platform, right? This was before Helldivers 2 was announced to be going to Xbox. There's no way any of them will make these claims now. Not a single one of them. I'm quite surprised that you actually made that comment. You see, PlayStation fanboys, you have to understand that the market doesn't care about your feelings. You were on Twitter basically saying that, oh, you're never going to buy a PlayStation console anymore, while somebody in the same comment section was telling me that Xbox gamers were going to leave because of multi-plat, while you guys have you're the ones that are actually, in a sense, you have much lower tolerance for the platform that you're on. Actually, did I say much lower tolerance? Or I would say you basically deluded yourself because Xbox and PlayStation, let me even go ahead and correct that, had a similar level of multi-platform approach, but you denied it with PC or ignored it with PC to then focus on Xbox. Now it has come to your house and you have to deal with it. Jadiz, shout out to you. No wonder on Twitter you replied to a comment a while ago. I pretended like I didn't see it. You said maybe they should invite me to that podcast to take my victory lap. I need take no victory lap because this was all low-hanging fruit. We could all see it. That somewhere, somehow, Xbox was going to commit to keep making consoles because consoles made them a lot more money in a singular unit than anything else. How many PC gamers do they actually sell games to compared to Steam? How many PC gamers are subscribed to Game Pass compared to PC? There is a lot of money for them on their hardware. And they've proven that simply by continuing to double down on hardware and pretty much show their revenue share. Are you seeing it now? Or is this something that we need to go pretend like we don't have the data anymore? What are we doing? Oh, wait. Game Pass Ultimate also has a PC side to it. So you can be a PC Game Pass subscriber and also an Xbox Game Pass subscriber with overlap. PlayStation gamers, update your knowledge on Xbox. I'm a PC gamer and I've been willing to learn. But what I find is many of you are unwilling to learn. And I even got my own Nigerian brethren and Cameroonian brethren talking smack. Yeah, that one triggered me, man. You know what I mean? Like that one came from deep. He came from home. You know, when there are different levels and different layers to this. But I can't let it slide. Nope, I'm not going to let that one go. Nah, not at all, man. Thanks for watching the video. Talk to me in the comment section. Peace out.